You're listening to Inside Israel Today with Gil Hoffman on the Land of Israel Network.
Hello and welcome to Inside Israel Today here on the Land of Israel Network on thelandofisrael.com, where we have a special interview today with the outgoing mayor of Jerusalem, Nir Barkat. He is not running again for mayor after 10 years in office because he wants to be a national leader. He's going to be running in our Knesset election in the Likud party in 2019, and he has left behind a vacancy where there are many competitors, the main competitors being the Minister of Jerusalem Affairs, Ze'ev Elkin, who he supports, the head of the Hitorut party, Ofer Berkovich, who Barkat is very critical of, as you will see, and the former deputy mayor, Moshe Lion, of the Jerusalem is Mine party, who the mayor is also quite critical of. This interview was done for the Jerusalem Post, and we're using the audio with the permission of the newspaper. You can, of course, read the article at www.jpost.com. So here is our interview that we taped earlier with the mayor of Jerusalem, Nir Barkat. Mayor Nir Barkat, your plan that you had of having our Minister of Jerusalem Affairs, Ze'ev Elkin, replace you seems to be up in the air right now. We have no idea at this point whether he's going to make a two-man runoff race in the crowded field of candidates. Are you worried?
First of all, I believe he'll win. But let me expand a second on why I believe and feel that Minister Elkin should replace me. You have to understand the complexity of our city. It's not a game. For Jerusalem to succeed, you need to understand how to manage complex situations and know how to create partnerships and support and relationships between the different sectors. For Jerusalem to succeed, you cannot focus on who wins and who loses. You have to make sure that you create a win-win relationship internally between the different sectors. You have to understand how to operate with the secular people, with the national religious, with the ultra-Orthodox, with the Arab population, and you have to have a holistic approach to the city. Then we're talking about managing 9 billion shekels and 10,000 employees. And you have to bind your way into the government and know how to solicit and increase funding by the national government. And you have to deal with really complex situations. And I know all the candidates. I know all of them. And I think from all of them, there's no doubt in my mind that he's best suited for the job in terms of skills and experience and potential and smartness and the ability to cross sector from the secular to the national religious to the ultra-Orthodox.
One thing that Ze'ev Elkin does not have is a political base in the city. Moshe Lion has a base.
It's not true.
It's not true? What we've been saying all along?
No, not at all. Well, the national religious people in the city of Jerusalem, the people that are right of center, and a lot of the Likudniks that are right of center are certainly a base. And the support that Elkin has from the national religious people in the city is strong, and it's a very good base.
So the latest polls showed that right now, if the election would happen now, that Ofer Berkovich would win the most votes and make it into the runoff race in the second round, and that Moshe Lion and Ze'ev Elkin are running neck and neck for that second place, and then you've got Deitch, the deputy mayor, way behind. Deitch. So, are you surprised that Berkovich has gotten so much support that this far into the election, it's looking like he'll get the most votes in the first round?
So, let me start off by saying that Ofer Berkovich will lose the second round to any competitor. And so, I think that, and the reason is that he's limited in his ability to create partnerships. He does not know how to. He does not know how to cross between the secular and to the ultra-Orthodox. And the same that Deitch does not know how to bring secular people, Berkovich does not know how to go through to the ultra-Orthodox sector, which is unfortunate because to manage the city you have to gain trust of all people. And so I think that everyone, from my perspective, I believe he will not win the second round, whoever he runs against, if it's Elkin or Leon. And so the challenge is not who wins the first round, if you win the first round. The challenge is who's going to win the second round and who can cross the aisle and to create more of a heterogeneous support around him. I believe what I've done in the city is I've crossed the aisle and created trust between the different sectors, and we had a wide coalition. Unfortunately, that would be very difficult for him to do. And so I believe that the way people should think is who has the best chance to be mayor, and not necessarily who I think I like most or who is the most similar to me. Who could do the best job crossing the aisle and representing all sectors in a balanced way. And that's where Elkin comes in far better in my mind than the other candidates.
The word that you used in the Knesset when we were speaking privately, which if you feel comfortable speaking about it publicly, was a very strong word. You called Ofer Berkovich a charlatan?
Unfortunately, yes. I think he's got good intentions, and of course, the supporters of Berkovich have really good intentions. From the 7 years he's been working in the municipality, unfortunately, he lacks the experience and lacks the depth needed to get into details and lead the professional team. The professional team had significant challenges, interpersonal relationships, and the ability to bring them on board and management is something that he must learn. He's still unexperienced, and my concern is his ability to lead big teams, big professional teams, and the human relations that he needs to improve that in order to take an undertaking like a city of Jerusalem.
Okay.
I also believe that you gather all that together. He came into the municipality with very little experience in management, especially in management of large-scale organizations. And I don't think that when I speak to the professional team in the municipality, they did not know, or he did not know, how to work together in a smooth way to focus on growth. I think last thing I would say is that the thing he is good in is marketing and Facebook. But that's not deep enough to lead and manage the city of Jerusalem. And for me, I also look back that I understand that everything that's been done in the last decade is all sort of funny. And he takes credit for everything that worked in the last decade. And of course, all the challenges is not his. So to be a team player, you need not to take credit for yourself. You need to share credit. You need to create partnerships. And when somebody comes along and explains that all the good stuff that is happening in the city of Jerusalem was done by him, I think that's my. Unfortunately, there's no better word.
Now, no one can say that Moshe Lion doesn't have managerial experience. He's been successful running an accounting firm for many years. He was the Director General of the Prime Minister's office. In that regard, he's the opposite of Ofer Berkovich, and he was a partner as your deputy mayor over the last few years. Wouldn't that make you support him? Why did he not get your support?
Well, first of all, he's my friend, and indeed, he's a very fundamentally different personality. He has a significant management experience, indeed. Then my role as mayor, as Rabbi Mordechai Eliyahu Zatzal told me to take care, Lishmor al Yerushalayim, to take care of Jerusalem, I have to judge who I believe will do the best job for the city of Jerusalem. And I believe that Elkin has the right attitude, the right ideology, and the experience together. I'm a bit concerned about the support that Leon gets from two parties that have very little together, which is Lieberman and Deri. It raises questions as to the commitment and his loyalty to whoever he's loyal to. And so if I, again, compare Ze'ev Elkin to Moshe Lion, then I think it's a fundamentally significant difference between the ability to manage complex situations and to, in my mind, it's a big difference. So I agree with you, though, that is a different category than Berkovich.
Well, Aryeh Deri served a prison sentence for bribery. Avigdor Lieberman has been accused of many crimes, though never was convicted. Having these two as his main political patrons, does that make Moshe Lion guilty by association when he's never been really questioned for anything serious, as far as I know, going back?
There's very little connection with any ideology of these two, the two people. And so one question is, what does make them both support Moshe Lion? With Elkin, he's got the support of the Prime Minister. He's got my support. He's got the support of the majority of all of the ministers in the country, in the Likud. He's got the support of Bennett and the Abait HaYehudi. So he's representing the Machaneh HaLeumi in general. So he's
the nationalist
he's crossed many parties. Yeah. I think it's very, very simple. Supporting Elkin, you know what you get. You know the vision, you know the connection to the government, you know the support that he will continue getting, like I did from Prime Minister Netanyahu, that we could, and naturally I will help in any way, shape, or form I can. Of course, to any mayor, of course, I'd prefer that it would be Elkin. And so he's going to be enjoying a very strong network, Minister Elkin, and a very strong, deep support of the national parties in the government, and of course 25% of the public.
Well, I'll tell you one thing that Elkin is definitely missing, and so are the other candidates in one way or another, which is I don't know if any of them would be willing to do an interview like this in English. I don't know if any of them is worldly enough to meet with the President of the United States when he comes to Jerusalem and present a global face for the city the way that you have successfully over the last 10 years, the way that Ehud Olmert did before, despite where he ended up. Jerusalem doesn't have the kind of worldly, global kind of candidate at all in this race. Is that okay?
Well, from all the candidates he's talking about, the one with most international experience is Elkin. You know, I need translation for Russian, I need translation for Spanish and Portuguese and French. I think Elkin has, knowing how to sit and help the Prime Minister Netanyahu with a relationship with Putin and others, put him in a fundamentally the most experienced international player of all the candidates. I'm not concerned about translation to different languages. I'm concerned with experience and understanding the holistic approach. And if anything, the international element here, that I think definitely Elkin has an edge.
So my last question is about the diplomatic plan for Jerusalem that he advocated as Jerusalem Affairs Minister, and I know that as mayor you have less of a role in this, but his plan for keeping Arab neighborhoods outside of the municipal borders of Jerusalem and making them into a separate municipality has been criticized by Moshe Lion as dividing Jerusalem. How do we explain to the world why it's not?
Well, first of all, Leon should be the last person talking about this, because both Deri that supported dividing the country, Oslo, and Lieberman is willing to give up big neighborhoods of Jerusalem. He should be, his supporters, he should be the last to criticize Ze'ev Elkin, which is nonsense. Ze'ev Elkin believes in the unity of the city of Jerusalem. There's a technical discussion on how to manage the neighborhoods outside the fence. I disagree with Elkin on this point, and I'm not sure that he has not changed his mind on it, because when you get into the details of it, then you understand, and my recommendation to the national government is not to make such a move, which eventually did not happen. But from here to say that Elkin wants to divide Jerusalem is total nonsense.
Okay, well, we've got a challenge ahead. You've got an election for Knesset coming up. We don't know yet when it's going to be, unless you're very close to Netanyahu. Has the Prime Minister told you when he wants to initiate this election?
No, he's not told me. We'll wait patiently. I'm continuing to being mayor until end of November, and then start focusing on national stuff. Naturally, the next phase in my life. Whatever I do is a combination of what the public wants me to do and what Prime Minister Netanyahu would like me to do, and I will do whatever it takes to help Prime Minister Netanyahu.
Well, good luck with that for the good of the country, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. One more thing, if you don't mind.
Please.
I thought you were going to ask that. I believe eventually you will find 3 players on the field in the first round. There's a reasonable chance that not all 4 will run. And there's no doubt in my mind that if Ofer Berkovich comes to the second round, he will certainly lose to both candidates. And if Elkin comes to the second round, certainly he will win both candidates. Therefore, the focus of the public should be, who do you want to win the second round? And that's what you should vote for. Not who you want to get into the second round. The focus should be, who do you want to win the second round? From the 3 major players, and actually you said yourself that Deitch will certainly not make it to the second round. And the question is, who from the 3, or from the 2, between Ze'ev Elkin and Moshe Lion, who do you want to win the election? And if you put your vote to Deitch or Berkovich, you're throwing away your vote for mayor. You want to choose their party, that's fine. But I strongly recommend you to consider who you want to be the mayor between Elkin and Moshe Lion. And my recommendation to the public is skip the first phase, go to the second phase immediately, because one of the 2 will be the next mayor of Jerusalem.
We shall see.
I believe it's going to be Elkin.
Thank you so much, Mayor Barkat.
My pleasure.
That was the mayor of Jerusalem, Nir Barkat, exclusively here on Inside Israel Today on the Land of Israel Network, on thelandofisrael.com. The election is a week away, ladies and gentlemen, so next time we're sitting here, we will be in the midst of all the excitement, and we'll probably be out there in the field. Maybe we'll go to a polling station over here. Democracy in action here inside Israel Today. Thanks for being with us. Shalom from Jerusalem. Bye-bye.
Tune in to an exclusive interview with Jason Greenblatt, White House Chief Envoy to the Middle East.
At the end of the day, if we don't resolve the situation in Gaza, it will be an obstacle on the road to peace. So separate from the humanitarian issue, Hamas itself is an obstacle on the road to peace.
That's Israel Uncensored with Josh Haston on the Land of Israel Network at thelandofisrael.com.